Hello and welcome to Wise Women Wednesdays. My name is Jennifer Regular, and I am the Soul Illuminator at Lighting the Path. And I'm also host of this show where I get to bring amazing, inspiring women from all around the world to share their story, what lit their path, and what they went through in their spiritual awakening, and the passion that they have for the kind of work that they're doing now as they align with their true purpose. And I hope that it inspires you to become who you came here to be and do what you came here to do. Today, I have Robin O'Donovan from Gainesville, Florida. So excited to have her. She is doing amazing things. For one, she's a music performer. She's also an author and a life purpose coach whose mission is to help each person live their purpose and have fun being 100% themselves with the love and support of their energetic tribes. You know, we don't do this alone. She is blessed and honored to be a tenured instructor at the essentialacademy.org and which is the Harvard of online learning. Robin endured years of struggle, though, to stay in jobs and marriages that didn't light her up, leading to depression, chronic fatigue, and financial ruin. Now, accompanied and supported by her energetic tribe, she lives her life's purpose and enjoys amazing times every day with her kids, her friends, and lover while creating and performing music, coaching, speaking, and traveling. Today, Robin's here to help us discern what our core life purpose is and how we can raise collective consciousness. So, Robin, thank you so much for being here and welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm delighted to be here, and you are such a shining light in the world. Just delighted to be part of that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. So, this life purpose, I mean, that's a question we often ask ourselves. It's like, who am I? What's my purpose? We go through what seems like an identity crisis every now and then because we start to recognize that who we're surrounding ourselves with, what we're doing with our time and energy, just might not be giving us the joy that it once did. And we lose that enthusiasm as, you know, we fall into depression and start to figure out, well, what meaning does life have? How can I truly be happy and satisfied? So I'm curious, Robin, what lit your path? What kept you going through all those hard times?
Thank you. Well, it was a process. And, my greatest hope is that has always been that I could somehow quantify and just dissect this process so I could share it with others and make their process easier. Because we all have to go through this process. But like you said, we don't have to do it alone. And so one of the things that I, hit on in my process is the concept of my energetic tribe and what that means to reach out and attract those people. And I am an introvert. On the Myers-Briggs, I am an INFJ. I am a lone wolf. I'm the black sheep of my family. Like, I am just not, like, people are like, oh, I find that hard to believe. I'm like, yeah, I play an extrovert on TV. But,
Right.
like, I need a lot of time alone to recharge. And I really do not, as a result of my trauma, especially as a kid, I do not like to depend on others for anything, right? So, it was a process for me that began, really 11 years ago. That's a bit longer story, but in the past couple of years, I came to a really low point in my life, and I mean a really low point one night, and that I hope no one gets to. And my muses, because I am a performer, so I'm a piano singer songwriter. I have been all of my life. That gift saved my life that night. And I actually detail this in my book, The 7 Core Life Purposes. Yeah. A song came to me the night that I just really was ready to give up and give in. A song came to me called Sing It Through. And in that song, it says, my energetic tribe needs me more than I need this life. And the extremism of that statement aside, what drove the point that was driven home to me was that, hey, my angels, my muses, my guides, my higher self was saying to me, girl, if you aren't going to do this for yourself, sit up and do this for your energetic tribe. I mean, that includes your children, that includes your loved ones, but it also includes the people out there who need you and your expertise and your knowledge and your experience and your gifts and your light that only you can shine. They need that. And it is really time for you to sit up and own that. And there was a huge download to receive in one evening, but I did receive it, and I wrote the song, and the song is in my book, The 7 Core Life Purposes. It's a digital book, so I'm able to embed songs in it. And, you know, it's one thing to receive the download. And I went forward with it and began to have a lot of success from there. But it still took a while to integrate it into my life, to say, to really feel entirely the worthiness it takes to step up to that. And so I am here as a life coach, as an authenticity coach, to help people step into that a lot faster than I was able to, if that makes sense.
That is amazing. And what a beautiful story. And I'm so glad you decided to stick around, Robin.
Thank you. I am
Help
too.
us all.
Yeah. I am too. And, you know, and I've been on the suicide prevention show. A lot of times they're geared towards talking with teens, but just to anybody that's listening that has had one of those days, of those dark nights, or if you're going through that now, I implore you to read my book, because I want you to know you're not alone.
Yeah.
But I implore you to understand that your energetic tribe needs you. And your energetic tribe could be millions of people, or it could be 2 people. It doesn't matter the quantity, the number of people, but your energetic tribe is out there. They're likely partially with you now, even in spirit. You know, the love of your life, even if they're not like in the 3D in your life, that's part of your energetic tribe, and they need you. And for you to give up now is not your path. It's not your path. I want you to understand that. Anyone that's listening that needs to hear this.
Absolutely. And I love too that you mentioned about giving the time to assimilate and integrate everything that you're going through, you know, and to allow yourself time for that. It's truly a sacred time to allow yourself, and it takes a lot of courage, doesn't it, and patience and gentleness with yourself to help move yourself through that, and to accept fully, even the darkest times, that it's part of this human experience as well, and there is light to be gained from that, and that moves us forward and illuminates, you know, what it truly is, and that we're here to do, and what it truly means to be alive at this time.
Yes.
And so you're raising collective consciousness now, and it's through the 7 core life purposes. Is that right?
Yes.
So tell us about that. How did you come up with 7?
Oh my goodness. I love to tell this because I didn't come up with it, Jennifer. I didn't come up with the 7 core life purposes, or that there are 7. It's crazy how it came to me. It literally came to me as a divine download. I knew it at the time. I gratefully received it. I tried since then to carry it forth. So this was in 2020. I know the whole world was in lockdown. I'm a bit of a rebel, and I had been on my awakening path since 2011. I didn't really see any reason to stay home and be in lockdown and follow rules that didn't resonate with me. Not to say that everyone else, you know, did the wrong thing, or not to politicize or say that I'm right. I do what resonates. And at the time, I had a boyfriend who worked for a major commercial airline, and so I had free, you know, he put me on his ticket, so I had free airfare whenever I wanted. So I took at least 56 plane trips in 2020. I was all over the United States. Like, I didn't leave the country, but I had a lot of fun. And I feel that part of that was raising the collective consciousness. But early in that year, I was on a plane ride, and the pandemic had started, and I don't know. Well, okay, I was sitting there like, there's a whole other story. It's in my book too, about like I had to come to Jesus about what is my purpose. So that had already happened. I'm sitting on this plane and I'm just looking out the window, and I always feel very close to God, up there in the firmament there in the plane. And I was like, how can I create something that's on purpose for me, that I can reach out and start building a community of people that want to get on purpose? Like, it was just very elementary the thought that I had and what I was trying to do. And I was like, what is my purpose? Like, how can I teach people what their purpose is? And all of a sudden it just all came together. It just all came together. And you have your iPhone and you have your notes app, and I just started typing it in my notes. It was like, here are the core purposes. Just the whole thing just came. Here are the core purposes. And I didn't even understand some of the words. I had to look up some of the things. When I got home, I was like, what does this mean? So I wrote it all out. I wrote it in the book. I wrote like an intro to the book. The book at the time was like 20 pages. And not only that, as I was writing the book, I was like, wait, hold on a second. These totally correspond with our chakras, with our 7 major chakras. And that was like, that just, to me, just like really clinched it. What a divine and holy download this was. No, not to elevate, like I'm the only one, able to explain life purpose. And this is, but I think this is a very powerful, very unique way. So essentially, we each have a unique purpose. There's 8 billion of us in the world or whatever, but there are really only 7 core life purposes. And so we each carry them out as befits our path. Okay. So there's a lot of ways to say it, but I have two current life purposes. Mine are as a transmuter of light. So transmuter is one of the purposes. The way I express that is I'm a transmuter of pain energy into light energy. Mm-hmm. I do that through my songs. I do that through my coaching. I have a program called Transmute Your Pain into Your Power. So you were just talking about that, like how can we integrate this experience into light? You actually mentioned that yourself, Jennifer, and that is exactly what I learned to do and what I help others do now.
Yeah, that's actually pretty much the content of my book about Embrace Your Power, a healing journal of self-discovery.
That's wonderful. And I am like, oh my goodness, the more people doing this work in the world, wonderful. There is no competition. Again,
that's right.
I used to feel like anybody else, like, oh my gosh, who am I to be a coach or counsel people on whatever? Now I'm like, now that I know these core life purposes and I've studied this, I'm like, there's no way. We're each like a droplet of water, or a snowflake. Like, there's no way that I could reproduce what you're doing or you could reproduce what I'm doing.
Exactly.
There's no way you can walk my path and vice versa. So we are each here to, and furthermore, the bigger picture is we're each here to attract our tribe. I can't attract your tribe. You're not going to attract my tribe. They might overlap, and that's really fun. And that's where joint ventureships and friendships come in and collaborative efforts. And that's really great. But who are we to sit here and say, oh, somebody's already done all that. I'm not going to.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. No, step up, step up and own yourself. All right. So, and I have another program called the Authenticity Amplifier that helps you do that. It helps you get to the heart of who you really are. But so to just sum up with the 7 core life purposes. So my other life purpose is as a lover. So, and that does not necessarily mean romantic relationships. So the transmuter is here to up level one kind of energy into another kind of energy. You don't have to be a coach to do that. You could be doing it in lots of capacities. I met a psychotherapist the other day who strongly resonates with that and felt that she is doing that work. And I loved the way that she owned that in her particular life. So my other purposes as a lover is here to build and nurture deep, loving relationships. But more than that, to elevate the collective consciousness, to elevate the consciousness in a room, to elevate the consciousness of this planet through pure love. And the secret to doing that is self-love. So that's another thing that I teach. And it's really not hard. It's just, like you mentioned, you have to have the courage. You have to have the courage to question past all your conditioning, because we're really conditioned, unfortunately, to say things like, oh, self-love, that's silly, that's for sissies, or, especially men, I think that's a whole other, conversation, divine masculine, feminine, but it's like, so many of us are conditioned like, oh, self-love, that's feeling sorry for yourself, or, self-care, no, put others first. And you have already touched on so eloquently, like, no, it's so
how would
important.
how would you differentiate then between
Yeah.
what is true, what truly does self-love mean?
First, we have to recognize that we are love.
Mm.
So one thing that people overlook in the quest of like authenticity and who am I, start with this: you are love. Love is your homeostasis. It's your natural state. It's your natural way of being. Anything else, I mean, I don't want to put a label on it like it's unnatural, but anything else is a conflict
Mm.
with who you really are. So the more that you can return to and stay in love, which is an equal amount of giving and receiving. So that's a big part of self-love, is learning how to give and how to receive as equally as possible. And, maybe not at the same time, but like to balance that in your life, service, but also don't undermine yourself. Be sure that you are open to receive as well. So those are
It
a
is
couple of keys.
so important to understand, isn't it? To
Yeah.
give and receive are both parts of self-love,
Yeah.
right? And to really embody that and recognize that you are love.
Yes.
I have a little acronym for love that someone shared with me years ago that I still carry with me because I love it. I love
Mm.
love. And the love that I'm talking about is lots of vital energy.
Oh, yes.
And when you recognize yourself as love, then you do have lots of vital energy because
Yes.
it's limitless, right? And
Yes.
we're truly alive in that moment.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And it speaks so much to like part of my story, which is like, we have all gone through something that everybody's trying to manifest, besides maybe more love in their life, like the perfect love relationship or something like that. I know that's really big on people's minds, and so is money. And what I realized is like, money is not an energy that you attract. Money's not something you attract. It's an energy you climb into.
Mm.
And I only realized that after I understood that about love. Like, love is an energy you climb into and be.
Mm-hmm.
And money is simply another 3D term for the same energy. Honestly, like, money
Mm.
is love energy. If I create an offering out of pure love, out of my heart, like, I want to help people with this, whether that's a course or coaching or a car wash, or walking your pet, or like whatever it is. Like, if I create something out of my heart that lights me up and I'm on purpose in doing that, that's an act of love. And so I give that, and it's an act of love to receive some kind of compensation
Mm.
in return, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's money or a trade or, whatever feels resonant. But that's just like, can we please just simplify everything to that? And it just becomes so much, life becomes easy. And I like to say EFA, easy, fulfilling, easy, fun, fulfilling, and abundant. I don't even know, like, I'm so climbing into the energy of money, I even forget the word abundant because it's just naturally there. Yeah.
That's there. What a powerful combination you have then of being a transmuter and a lover. That's pretty powerful. And I guess there's 5 more core purposes.
There
So what would
are.
those be?
Well, so one of the main ones is as an empowerer. So I always call the empowerer the hub. And it's funny because you read the section in my book about how each of the 7 core life purposes is related to one of our 7 main chakras. The hub is related to the solar plexus, so like your tummy area, your middle, your core. And I didn't put all that together until after I was putting the life purposes together, and they go in a certain order. But I just felt the empower. The empower, as I recall, was the first one that came to me. I can look back in my notes and verify that. But like, empower, we're all empowerers. So I just, I have others that I feel are like my real focus right now, like more drilled down, but we're all empowerers. So the empowerer's gift is to create support and to nurture the support system and inspiration for everyone else.
Mm.
So, and it's all, it's very circular because we're all empowerers, but like empower helps us each to live our purpose.
Uh-huh.
So with us, and I like to say empowerers run the world. If it weren't for the empowerers, our trash wouldn't get taken out. Our food wouldn't get grown. Our food wouldn't get made. Things wouldn't be shipped to us. We wouldn't learn in school, and we wouldn't learn wonderful things from the stage, from speakers, coaches, authors. We wouldn't enjoy wonderful artists. So you can be, an empowerer in any capacity. It's not to say if you do any of those things for a living, you are an empowerer. You could choose to be. You can read my book to kind of see the subtleties of how to claim your purpose. But my other point is, like, if you read my book and you're like, whoa, well, I'm not a catalyst. I'm not affecting, millions of people worldwide and raising the collective consciousness on such a massive scale. Well, neither am I. So that's why I don't walk around right now claiming to be a catalyst. But I don't want people to read my book and go, well, I'll never aspire to that. There is a really important purpose in place for everybody right now. And just because you only empower 3 other people in your life, maybe it's your family, you are no less important.
Yeah, because that has a huge ripple effect out into the world.
Exactly. Yes. So, let's focus less on quantity and, the immediate 3-dimensional look effect of what we're doing, and look at the ripple effect. Because you are and I say this in my book, like, ultimately we all will be called to and will live all 7 of these purposes. And the ones who are living several at a time really well and very consciously and really focused on that are the highest level people. And again, not to put anybody down, they don't feel like they're a high level, but there's levels. I mean, consciously, they're at a very high level of consciousness. And that's what we all aspire to and are all completely capable of reaching.
Yes, when we focus and concentrate that energy and really embody that, then it amplifies, and then it has that global impact and helps support this raising of collective consciousness, which we all truly need people to step up and do right now.
Yes. More than ever.
So what do we have? We have the transmuter, we have the empowerer, we have the catalyst, we have the lover. What are the other 3, Robin?
You could be a teacher, and that does not mean a school teacher. A teacher is, and it's tough because, like, if you take my quiz, I've had some people get teacher as their result, which is equally wonderful and interesting. When you read the book, you might be less likely to jump up and say, I'm a teacher, because a teacher, and I spend like the most time talking about the teacher just to really make people understand, because it's a tricky one. And this one I'm saying, like, I would never have thought of this stuff on my own. The teacher, I've had to study this myself to just really understand it for 2 years. The teacher empowers us to learn the lessons we need to learn so we can move beyond our karmic loops. And I had to live through some pretty darn heavy karmic loops, especially in the last 2 years, for me to fully understand that purpose. And I'm here to tell you, we are all teachers at one point or another throughout our lives. So I was being a teacher to this person in this relationship I was in over the last 2 years, and they were, and still being, a major teacher to me. So it sounds kind of like a negative thing, like, oh, I don't want to, be somebody that's just like, because I say in the book, like, if you are elevating energy, you are any of these 6, you're serving any of these 6 purposes. If you're stagnating or downgrading energy, you're a teacher. That's the main difference between teachers and the rest of them. And I think the teacher is a very important foil to the rest of them. And the list would not be complete without teachers. Our world would not be complete without teachers. Teacher could be a criminal It could be, a doctor who, you're filing a malpractice suit against. It could be a baby that dies upon being born. It could be like your horrible ex. Um, some of us have attracted some really tough teachers in our lives, as I say in my book. But thank God for that, because they're there to teach us the lessons that we really, really need in order to up-level ourselves. And so, again, a
Yes.
teacher is still an empowerer because
Mm-hmm.
they're empowering us on our life purpose path. They're triggering us. I use that a lot, and talking about teachers, they're triggering us
Mm-hmm.
to be better, to rise above, to see the pattern, and to extricate ourselves from it. All
Yeah, it's
right.
gonna activate the awakening
Yes,
too.
very, very
Yes.
much. Yes, yes. And so, and I started out by saying, teachers are the ones that may not have really gone through an awakening yet. Like you're just doing what you're doing. You're not sitting around going, "What is my purpose? I'm trying to live on purpose." And that's cool because, like I said, like all of us are living a purpose. It's just a matter of what is it right now,
Mm-hmm.
and do you choose that, or would you like to choose something else? Because if you identify as a teacher, here's the news: you could choose to identify as an empowerer instead. You can choose to step up and be a transmuter. And instead of stagnating or downgrading energy, up level energy. It's going to take some inner work. And that is something that I work with people to help them do and integrate and understand for themselves. But yeah, so and the teacher corresponds with the root chakra. All right. So it's not really awake. It's like animal instinct. It's just, you're just doing what you're doing, and you have room to elevate. So, but I bless and honor every teacher, especially in my life. I'll tell you that, or I would not be doing the work that I'm doing. So, yeah. And then the others, translator is one of them. And that is a person who can hear the messages that the rest of us can't hear. So
Uh-huh.
whether you can hear angels or the spirits of humans have passed on, or beings from other dimensions, or animals, or I mean the list is endless. But so those folks are typically somewhat evolved in their consciousness, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're just like, well, I can hear these, but I've never known what to do with this gift, so I repressed it, right? So that's again my way of just calling you out, like, hey, if you identify as a translator, like, let's talk and let's figure out how to really step forward and claim that and own that. And translators' work is very important because they, if the rest of us only listen to the messages that we can hear, because we don't have your gift, we would not evolve. All right, we would not up level our consciousness. So again, the translator is one of those who is up leveling consciousness. And then the final one I think I have not mentioned is the parent. And this can be triggering for some people because so I had somebody take the quiz, and I ended up talking with him a little bit later. He identified as a parent, but he told me that he said he kind of laughed it off. He was a little frustrated, and he kind of laughed it off and said, "Well, that's great, because he had just come out of a divorce where his partner had kids, and he
Oh.
didn't have his own kids, and so now he's estranged from those kids, and he really misses them, and he's kind of like, well, yeah, I really, really did want to be a parent, but like, well, looks like that hope is dashed, And so, first of all, I do say in my book on the page about being a parent, I'm like, well, if this is truly a calling for you as far as purpose, stop telling yourself any stories that it's too late, or you're too old, or you're infertile, or whatever it is. And there's also obviously many dimensions, definitions to being a parent. You don't
Yeah.
have to biologically be a parent. But a parent is one who is called to nurture life.
Mm.
So it's in the spectrum, it's right next to the lover. All right, because we're both called, lover and the parent are called to nurture this really special love, this really special relationship. But I claim Mother Teresa as a parent in my book. Like, you don't have to have biological children to do this. It could be your clients, it could be your following, but you dedicate your life to nurturing them and helping them up level, and that is what lights you up, and to the exclusion of just about everything else. But I
Yeah.
also made the distinction that you could be a parent. So I have 2 kids. You could be a parent physically in this 3D world and not identify with that as your core life purpose. So for me, I actually don't. It's really weird, and it was very. I want to say this because it's very freeing for me to make this distinction after I was received the 7 core life purposes, and I was like, okay, because all my kids are like 12 and 14, and all their lives I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm the worst parent. Like, I'm not in there playing with them every day. I don't live to be a parent. I didn't join all the moms groups. I didn't quit my job. My focus is really like, how can I help and serve humanity? And I always felt really guilty, but I see now that that's totally okay. Like, I serve my children in the capacity of a lover and in the capacity of a transmuter. I'm telling you, when my kids come to me and they don't feel well, I know what's wrong with them. I can lay my hands on them and know what's wrong with them, and I can heal them in a matter of hours or days. And I can up-level their energy, and I'm trying to teach them to do the same thing. But just because I don't run around and make parenting like the whole entire focus of my being, doesn't make me a bad person.
Right.
And I want parents to hear that, because there's all kinds of parenting out there, and you got to stop judging yourself, and you've got to, no matter what your role, I don't care if you have 16 kids, you do not have to claim parenting as a life purpose. If you feel called to be a translator or a transmuter or an empowerer of some kind or whatever, embrace that, because you got to show your kids that you are stepping and owning whatever your purpose is.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, to have a bigger picture view, a wide lens view of what those labels or titles or categories could mean. Yeah. And to recognize too, if it really is like the example you gave of the parent who suddenly felt like he wasn't a parent yet, it was something he really wanted.
Yeah.
That you don't get just one chance either, right? If it truly is your calling, there's opportunities that keep on coming until you're ready to step into that.
Very true.
Yes. And
that's how we manifest it, just being open to that. Just
absolutely.
Being open to that.
Yes. And I heard you say there was a quiz. So you have a quiz on discovering your 7 core life purposes, and you actually have a gift for that for the audience. So I'll put that link in there, but you want to tell us a little bit about that one, Robin?
Sure. Yeah. So the quiz is obviously based on the book. It was a long time coming. It took a while to formulate. And if you take it, it will tell you at the end which of the 7 core life purposes that you likely, identify with at this time. And then, and then you'll get an email with a little bit more information and an offer for my book. And for your audience, I'll give them half off. So, because my book is, it is paid. I mean, like I said, it started as 20 pages, but this year I revised it. I added more of my story. I added 3 of my songs. And I also added a workbook section. So it's quite I call it a digital
whole package
experience. Yes.
An experience. Yes, I love it. Oh,
and
amazing.
Over time, I'm probably going to be adding video, and I'll just, everybody's already bought it. They'll just get grandfathered in. They'll get the updated version. But it really, the book goes into great detail about each purpose, and also just about, stepping into alignment, like what it means to be authentic and to be aligned. And you can read my story in detail, surrounding that dark night, and then what happened after that. That was an enormous triumph, and just see all of it in action. Basically, it's like, see how it works. That's why I put my story in there, is you can see how it works when we climb into the energy of who we really are. I mean, you just become so unlimited. And you really give that as a gift to the rest of the world. I'm really big on knowing who you are, stepping into that, owning your purpose, so that you can be a lighthouse for everyone else. So please take the quiz. It's totally free to take the quiz. And at the end, it'll ask you to, if you put in your name and email one more time, I'm sorry you have to do it a second time, but if you put it on again, then you'll get an email with a little bit more explanation, and also a coupon for half off for my book. So
fantastic. That's so good. Thank you. What a generous offer, Robin. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
And for everyone watching, I'm curious, as Robin spoke about those 7 core life purposes, what do you think yours is? I'd love to hear you mention that in the comments, and then go take the quiz and see if you were
Yeah.
right or if something else came up as more
Yes.
primary or a priority for you. Because
Yes.
Robin said you have a little bit of all of it,
Yeah.
but there's something that truly is your soul's expression. So I'd love to hear what that is. So do put in the comments, and if you like this video, then give us a thumbs up or even share it. Robin, how can people get in touch with you so they can learn more and maybe even be coached on some of this stuff?
Thank you. Well, taking the quiz is a great first step because it will give you some insight into yourself, and then that's a great jumping point for having a discussion. And again, in the emails that you'll get, you will get an offer in the book, and then other emails you'll get an offer to just have a complimentary one-on-one call with me. I love doing those. I love when people come to the call and they've taken the quiz, they've read the book, and they're like, okay, I think I'm this, but I want to understand, how I really express this in my life. And so that's a great jumping point conversation. I have a whole course around, really anchoring that in, discovering and anchoring that in for you. But I love to have the jump off conversation about it and just see what's the best. I have several courses. At the time this podcast is coming out, I'm going to be, I should have launched my conscious decluttering course. So that is a great way to come into my community and clear away all that is not you. So it's called Conscious Decluttering from the Inside Out.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And I mean, you got to be ready to do a little work, but I gently walk you through in 12 weeks what it took me 7 years to learn, refine, test with other people, and really understand the enormous implications of. This is a course I wish every human on the planet would go through, because we're all
Wow.
too cluttered up to
Yeah.
to really come home to who we are. And so that's kind of like my prerequisite. I help you unclutter yourself, come home to who you are, and then if you so choose, you can move up to my um, discover and live your life's purpose. So that's
Yes, you really
planning
create the space to do
planning
that
course.
then, right? Because if
Exactly.
you're already so full or really overwhelmed,
Yeah.
then it'd be
Yeah.
hard to really absorb any new information. So that decluttering is so important
Yeah.
to create space for what's to come.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah. And you can find me at energetictribe.com. So again, I took my whole brand from that line in the song that was divinely given to me that night that saved my life.
Yes.
And again, I detail that extraordinary story in my book, and it's just, yeah, it's my privilege to share my music with others. I've gone from just being a piano singer songwriter. That's been a whole journey for me too. It's just like, oh, I'm a piano singer songwriter. How do I differentiate myself? Well, I've learned over the years how I differentiate myself is I'm not just a piano singer songwriter. I'm a transmuter of pain energy into light energy. So the pain goes into my songs and comes filtered out as something beautiful. And I've had many, many people write to me and comment, and I even have a fan club that literally pays me to exist. Like literally, people, they don't even get a whole lot of extra things besides some behind the scenes recordings that I do. They literally just pay me every month because they love my music, and that's the greatest joy and honor.
Oh,
I
it
just
would
want people to
be.
know that it's totally possible. This is another one of my taglines: get paid to exist. Another thing I help people do. So get paid to exist, self-love,
Well, that sounds awesome.
step into your authenticity, find your purpose, and live with, ease, fun, fulfillment, and abundance.
Wow. Thank you so much, Robin. And truly, it's been such a privilege having you here.
Thank
It's been
you.
so great having you as a guest and sharing all of those core life purposes, how you're raising collective consciousness in your story. Thank you so much for sharing your vulnerability and your strength with us today.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's my privilege to be on your show, to be in your light, and it is my privilege to help uplift the consciousness of humanity. I know that it's a big task, and I feel so grateful that I now feel up to it and that I am a part of that project.
Mm,
Thank you.
thank you. And thank you to each and every one of you that have been listening and watching. You're all part of this too. And
Yes.
we honor you, and we'll see you again next time on Wise Women Wednesdays. Bye for now.